Hey everybody, welcome back to the next episode of the Balanced Vibes podcast. My name is Kersten, and today I'm going to share with you the third part of my four-part mini-series when I'm telling you a little bit more about myself, and I call this mini-series Get to Know Me. So last time we finished at a point where I had totally worked myself to the ground. I was running so much. I was eating very little. I had tried several different diets and I had completely messed up my hormones. I wasn't sleeping well. I was feeling weak. I wasn't getting my period and all that kind of stuff. So today I'm going to share with you what the turning point was, how things went from there, and where I still went a little bit wrong. Okay. So things didn't get like fixed 100%. But here's the story. So it was, what was the year? I think the year was 2016. 2016, it was towards the end of 2016 when I went to see my acupuncturist. And around that time, my workouts had changed a little bit. I wasn't running as much as I used to in the past, but I did a lot of high intensity training and I did it 6 days a week. And also I waited for a long time before I ate after my training, and before training, I didn't eat at all. And so my body was still in this pretty depleted state. Although I had put on some weight, I had put on some muscle clearly, because in my HIIT training, I had also included some weights, which I had not done before. So in some ways, I was a little bit healthier. I was definitely not in the super depleted, chronically underfed state where I was earlier, but I wasn't also doing great. So I went to see my acupuncturist because I had a wrist issue, and we started talking about all the other things, because acupuncturist and, I would say also chiropractors, acupuncturists, amazing. I have great experiences with these types of doctors, more than conventional doctors, I'm going to say. They ask you all kinds of questions about you because they take holistic approach to you, right? Okay, so you have a wrist issue, but what else is going on in your body? How are your cycles? How is your energy? And mine were not great. And so my acupuncturist, Ron, you're amazing. He told me that, you should really do something about it because you're weak. Your hormones are totally off. And I think you should maybe back off and do a little bit less exercise and give your body a little bit more fuel. And when I heard this, I knew that he was right, because I had started having also issues with motivation, which is so weird. I had never had those issues before. And then I realized that he's right and I have to do this. And it was almost like a permission, which is so funny that you need somebody else's permission to do what you already know inside that you have to do. And so I started resting a lot more. I started eating a lot more, and I got so much better. It took me about 5 months to completely get out of this dark place, but I did. And I felt a lot better. My energy came back. I started to look forward to my workouts again. My strength was back. Everything was great. And one thing happened though. I continued to eat. So it was totally fine for a period of time. I wasn't doing those like restrictive behaviors anymore around food, but also I just kept going and going and going. It's almost like all the brakes were off. And not only for like a couple of months, I continued that. So it's almost like I didn't check in with myself anymore at all. So I would just eat random snacks all the time, like in the car, and then eating when I wasn't hungry. It's almost like this mode stayed on for a super long time. And I think it was about 2-3 years after I had healed that I realized that, like I just don't feel good anymore. Like I look in the mirror, I'm like, yeah, I realized that I had to gain some weight to overcome all these hormonal issues that I had, the exhaustion that I had. But I also don't feel like myself, There's like no muscle definition. My clothes, I need so much bigger clothes. I had to buy a lot bigger clothes. And I didn't have that athleticism. That's what I was really missing. Now that you know the whole story from the very early on, how I started training and all that, I missed that athleticism. I missed being an athlete. And I just wasn't that anymore. And it was like part of me was missing. And I had really appreciated that period of time when I was eating more and doing all the things and having complete food freedom and all that, amazing things. But also I was not feeling good physically. I was also tired and my periods were really painful. And I had also developed high blood glucose in the morning. So when I started testing it, then it came back like 110 in the morning, and that's way too high. So there may have been a little bit of insulin resistance going on, which is not a good thing. And I just realized that this is not okay. I want to do something about it. And so I decided that I'm going to, I think at first I was just going to track my calories. So I used my fitness pal to track my calories, see how I was doing. And I think I was able to lose maybe like a little bit of fat, a little bit of weight, but nothing like significant. And I was kind of inconsistent with it. I didn't know anything about macronutrition back then. I knew, of course, that there are 3 macronutrients, fats, proteins, and carbs, but I didn't know what they should look like. And for my body, for me to be healthy, for me to be able to lose some body fat. And so I was only tracking, doing the old-fashioned, old-school way, tracking only calories, hoping that this will get me somewhere. And maybe it did. I didn't actually weigh myself at the time, and I think I saw a little bit of change in my body, but it was nothing sustainable, nothing that I actually knew how to do. I was just like trying out random things here and there. And I remember listening to a couple of podcasts where people, were talking about it, energy levels and how the macros might affect that, and fat loss and how the macros might affect that. And then the advice was like always like, yeah, maybe you should try kind of like higher fat, and maybe you're having not enough carbs, or maybe. And I got kind of like, okay, cool. Can somebody give me like some numbers to look at? What does it mean, little too high carb? Like, what is this thing, right? Is little too high, is this 50 grams? Is 250 grams? What the heck is that? Or what is, perhaps you're having too much fat. How much is too much fat? Because I wasn't like weighing anything. I wasn't measuring anything. I wasn't tracking my macros. I wasn't looking at my food intake that way, like how much fat is in there. And then also I was still in this like, food freedom, right? And one more thing was that I also thought that the body recomposition should happen just by intuitive eating, because a lot of people are saying that, your body will take the shape that it needs to be when you just eat intuitively. And so my intuitive eating a lot of times was eating a bag of chips on my way back home from the gym, or, eating when I wasn't hungry anymore, or eating out 5 meals a day, 5 meals a week. That was my intuition, and that had led me to this place where I wasn't feeling good about myself. And again, I want to make sure that you understand I'm not talking about self-love or self-hate here. This is a different conversation. So sometimes you get that, when people can tell you that, oh, you wanted to lose fat because you didn't love yourself. You hadn't worked on that part. I'm like, hold on. This is not true at all, because when I was going through this transition, from this like really under eating and skinny and all these issues to gaining a lot of weight, I did a lot of work. I did so much work. My self-respect, my self-acceptance, self-love were definitely much stronger. I even found spiritual practice during this time, and it was great. I did a lot of things to get in touch with my higher self. I did some plant medicine. I did a lot of meditation. I'm still doing these things. I'm getting deeper and deeper in these things. They are a great resource. So there's nothing to do with like my self-worth and like wanting to prove that or like change that or like get more self-worth out of my body. No, it was not that. It was just purely like, I don't freaking feel comfortable. And so I remember that one time when I was buying a dress for our friend's wedding, and I realized, oh, okay, here we go. Now it's next size up, right? And I was really annoyed by that, and I decided that I'm going to do something about it. So I reached out to my friend who was macro coach at the time, still is actually, and this is going to be the next episode, what happened from there on. But I hope that this was interesting for you to listen to and understand where I'm coming from. There really were two extremes, this undereating, overtraining me, and then this other version of me that was like, yeah, healed, but also overeating, continued to overeat, continued to not pay any attention to my body signals, and having close to no awareness around how I was eating. So we get to the next part of the story, which is going to be the fourth and last part of the story in the next episode. And if you have any comments, if you want to share anything, my Instagram DMs are always open for you. So I really hope to chat with you there, or you can always, of course, leave a comment on YouTube or on my blog. So until next time, see you very soon.